Hi, I'm Shawn Sullivan from K9 Studios. Today we're going to be dealing with a concept of animation called follow-through. Now, follow-through is an old principle of animation that was developed by the 9 old men from Disney. And the best way to describe it is through an example. Now, the example I have is I have this shirt here. And when we're making something move, follow-through's aspect is when I stop moving. And notice the shirt keeps moving. That is basically what follow-through is. If you don't have that follow-through in animation, it doesn't give off believability. Think of like the character like Dumbo. Dumbo had huge ears. And every time Dumbo turned and stopped, his ears kept moving. If he had rigid ears and he turned and boing, boing, and they just sat there, it would look horrible. As a viewer, we'd know something's wrong and we wouldn't believe the animation. So follow-through is a very important aspect of creating something coming to life. Now, the project for follow-through that we're going to deal with is a water balloon. And being an animator, it's a good idea to actually observe what you're going to draw. So I have a water balloon here, and as you see, if I push energy through it, it travels through it and bounces back and forth. Now, for us to deal with this whole aspect of a water balloon, we have to get the basic shapes. And there are certain shapes that are sitting here. If the water balloon's sitting on this table, the water pushes out and gives us a nice oval shape. So a shape that we're going to use is a shape something like that. That is the balloon at rest. We want to give the illusion that our balloon is jumping. So that means we're going to try to bring it alive. So in order to bring it alive, the energy is going to have to be created within the water balloon. So to give that illusion, we got to give the idea that the balloon is going to jump. And to jump, the balloon has to actually lower one side and raise another. So the basic shape that we're going to use is something along this lines here. The energy's in the back side, and the front is raised up. Now, when our balloon takes off, notice how the weight sits down in the back of the balloon. So to give that illusion when we're actually jumping in the air, we want the weight sitting in the back. So we'll use a shape along this lines here. Now, when it reaches the apex of the jump, everything's going to start balancing out. So we're going to be at the top here, and it's going to equal out. As it equals out, we're going to go to this kidney bean shape. Then we're ready to pick up energy by coming down to our landing. And once we start coming down, the water is going to shift forward, and energy is going to sit in the back. Our weight comes forward. So then our shape changes something along these lines. These are the basic shapes that we're going to need to be able to create a water balloon. But the type of animation we're going to do is called a cycle animation. All these shapes need to be stacked on top of each other so our water balloon can jump forever. We need to give a ground line. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and draw our basic ground. The next thing we need to do is give our path of motion. Since our water balloon is going to be jumping in the same place, our path of motion is straight up and down. The idea of doing a cycle this way is for when you're looking at animation, the background moves behind the character, and it looks like it's moving forward. So we're going to start off with our first basic shape, our water balloon at rest. Now, the next step that we're going to do is when our water balloon starts to take off. We're going to raise up here. All these drawings are exactly on top of each other. So when you look at your path of motion chart, it's going to be all jumbled. So I'm going to draw in different colors just so you can see where each character in each drawing needs to be. Now that our water balloon is getting ready to take off, remember we need the weight to sit in the back. When we start lifting up, we're going to hit the apex of our drawing. We have our kidney bean shape. It's at the top. It's equal on both sides. And notice, our animation that's sitting here has this natural arc that's coming around. Arcs are very important animation. It gives that realistic look of motion. Now our water balloon is going to start coming down. The weight of the water balloon is going to be in the lower portion of it. When we come down to our landing, we have our weight that's sitting here. And then our landing is the opposite of our takeoff. The energy is being pushed down in this direction. That whole action is that energy pushing down, the other side needs to rise up. And if that ends up happening, the basic next drawing is a flip. The energy is pushing here, and the energy is ready to take off again to continue our jump. We've just formed a cycle because this is our last drawing that falls into our number 2 drawing that's sitting right here. Our cycle is complete, and our water balloon can bounce forever. Now Frank's over here, he's working on his path of motion chart. Path of motion chart is one of the most important things. This is where you figure out all your aspects of your animation. You put all your drawings together, you get your path of motion, and you want to make sure you have your proper arc, your timing and spacing. And you make all your mistakes here and you can correct them here. So when you transfer them to single drawings, it makes your life easier as an animator. Now Sam's over here, she's transferred her drawings. She's worked them so they're nice and clean. She's checking if the motion's correct by flipping back and forth. And once she's figured that all out, she's ready to start filming and doing pencil tests. Once you got your filming all done, you can be creative. You can start doing character animation, start adding details to your water balloon to bring it to life. Now we have Ethan over here. He's turned his water balloon into a character. He has a bunny that's jumping up and down. Now, only when you bring in a character, you have to start thinking about everything else that's added to it. The bunny has ears. That's going to have some follow through to it. And he has an earring, I believe, on it. That's going to have follow through, and even a tail. So every time the bunny lands, that's going to continue moving. And the most important part is when you're having follow through, got to keep it alive. And that's the way it becomes believable, and that's how you get character animation. Hey, thanks for sending in all your animations. I've really been enjoying watching them. Keep sending them in to this email address right here, and I'll get back to you. So keep drawing.